Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nolan Jambor, and today we got a great lineup of things to talk about. Before we get into that, let's get into the tips and donations first. Tips and donations, always greatly appreciated. It shows that you guys care about what we're doing. It shows that you guys like the content we're putting out there, so it strives for us to be better, strives for us to put out better content, and that also gives you guys more reason to come and tune in and listen. Throwing in a donation is really easy. The link in the bio, link in the live stream, super chat, or stickers. Any money is greatly appreciated as always. Leave a comment as well. If you leave a comment, it shows that you guys are listening, you're tuning in. I can get to that comment as soon as possible. I always like, connecting, talking with the fans, listening. It's always a great conversation to have. So make sure throw a donation, and I'll get to it in a comment, and I'll get to it as soon as possible. So let's get into the good content today, shall we? First segment we're going to talk about SEC's domination in March Madness. This is a new year for March Madness. 14 teams in the SEC, most in the tournament since Big East with 11 teams in 2011. Making a 3-team total jump in total numbers. That's insane. Some people are arguing for the fact that, hey, it's precedence. It's the SEC. They're playing. They should not as many teams should be in it. But that's just not a good thing to say at all. SEC is the hardest conference of basketball this year, and there's no one who can say otherwise. The competition in that conference is unbelievable. There is currently, like I said, 14 teams made the tournament this year, which beats Big East in 2011 with 11 teams. They have 7 teams made it to the Sweet 16, which is 4 more than the 2009 Big East, because they had 4, so it was 3 more, sorry. And if they get 4 teams to the Elite 8, they'd be tied for the most teams to ever make an Elite 8 from the same conference. All they need for that to happen, so they need Auburn to beat Michigan, Ole Miss to beat Michigan State, and obviously Tennessee and Kentucky, that they're both SEC, and Bama already beat BYU yesterday. But here's the thing, I just don't think that will happen due to the fact that I don't believe Michigan State is going to lose to Ole Miss. I think they're a better team. And I also think Auburn will probably lose to Michigan as well. Michigan has the power in the paint, and they have better shooting. But if Auburn can play their game, they'll make it. They'll win. But I just don't think it will happen because I don't believe Ole Miss will beat Michigan State. Michigan State is just such a good team. They're so well-rounded. They're so fundamentally sound. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game regardless. Maybe Ole Miss will win. I just don't think they will. That's just my opinion on that, though. But going back to the topic of the SEC, how did all this come to be? How does a team go average from 4.5 teams a season to make March Madness from a conference, 4.5 to making 14 in a year? It jumps in 2 years from 4.5, and now they're averaging 10. How does that happen? So according to CBS, before the SEC commissioner Greg Sankey brought in Mike Troganos, the commissioner of the Big East, the SEC only had 4.5 teams they averaged to the March Madness each year. That's just not a lot of teams. Granted, a lot. There's a few teams, 12 to 16 are normally, some lower conference, middle American teams. But, from 11 and up, that's all Power 5. You look at the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, formerly Pac-12, Big East, Big 10. You'll get all those conferences, a mix and match of a lot of them. But most of that time, it'd be Big East and Big 10, because Big 10 is normally a powerhouse in basketball, and same with the Big East. ACC, not as much. In the past, yeah, but not this year. ACC has 1 team in the Sweet 16, and it was Duke. Every other ACC team that made it into March Madness was out in the second round. The ACC is not powerful enough this year in basketball, but they're still a great conference. It's just not this year, and Duke is the only reason the ACC is having a good season, the conference in general. But back to the SEC. The one reason they're doing so good is because of new head coach, John Calipari from Arkansas. He leaves Kansas, comes to Arkansas, and Arkansas last year went 0-18 in conference SEC play. This year they jumped to 10-8. That's phenomenal. You go from winning no games at all in your conference, not a single one, to winning 10 and going a positive record and winning 10. That's insane. Arkansas did, unfortunately, just lose to Texas Tech last night. Great game. But, going from an 0-18 SEC play team to making it to the Sweet 16 with their first-year coach, that shows a lot about Arkansas. Him and Rick Pitino, longtime friends as well. Pitino is, is a good friend. And even after they lose, he's still supporting him, even though he lost to them. Rick Pitino still goes and shows his support for him because they just have it's the bond right there. That's how good of a coach John Calipari is. I mean, Rick Pitino also went to go watch his son as well, but that doesn't really matter. But I mean, Calipari is a great coach. I mean, when the Godfather, I love that name for him, the Godfather, Rick Pitino, is going to watch and support you, I mean, you know you're doing something right. I mean, that's the same as, Coach O or Coach Izzo going to support you. I mean, you cemented yourself as one of the greats or could be one of the greats, especially at such a young age. I mean, coming in, literally winning 10 games after losing 18 the previous season, that's unbelievable. You just don't do that. The only head coach I can compare this to is a whole different sport. I'm comparing him to Dan Campbell, the Detroit Lions. You go from 3-14, and then you jump to 9-8, and then a playoff team and a playoff team. I mean, they got the 1 seed this year as well. I mean, they're like the same side of the coin. I mean, they go into a team that had no future. I mean, they were just kind of deadlocked. They had nothing going for them. And they both come in and they just come proof and say, hey, like, this team statistically, historically, is not good. We're going to change the momentum they have around here. And they both came in and did that. But SEC as well. I mean, 4 teams at the end of the AP poll this year. 4 teams finished within the top 7, and 7 total teams are ranked. That's a stat you would see in football for the SEC, not basketball. Seeing that this year out of them is really showing, hey, like SEC's, they're a powerhouse in all 3. They're a powerhouse in baseball right now as well. They're a powerhouse, obviously, in football every year. It's the SEC. SEC is the best conference in football. Big Ten's, they're making some moves, especially with the new additions. Oregon, Washington when they were good 2 years ago in the national championship. UCLA and USC. I mean, only 2 of those teams I'd say, are a team to be reckoned with. But I mean, still bringing in Oregon, who's a phenomenal team, can't win the Natty, can't get the big one, but their regular season, they come and they play hard. I mean, they're a great team, but SEC is a powerhouse in football. I mean, coming in basketball, and then being able to get 4 teams in the top 7 ranked, that's nuts. I mean, you just don't see that for the SEC. You see that out of Big Ten for basketball, or maybe the Big East, or occasionally the ACC, but not SEC. So they're here to stay. I mean, they got the new coaches. They're getting a ton of new transfers. A lot of kids in the transfer portal are going to SEC schools, and it's gonna be they're here to stay and they're here to play. The SEC is a team I would not want to run into it. If I'm playing college basketball, SEC is definitely gonna make a run for their money, and I would not want to transfer in the SEC unless you want unless you really want to get your name out there, which is definitely the case. If you want to, if I'm going for skill, yeah, I'll go to the SEC. But if I'm going to I don't know, it'd be a scary conference to go to. That's all I'm gonna say. But like I said, I mean, this team, this whole conference, they're a conference to be reckoned with now. Basketball in the past, yeah, they had a few powerhouses here. Then Auburn's been good for the past few years. Kentucky, they're historically good, but they've had a few their playoff success the past few years has not been good. I mean, they win this year, and if they win tomorrow or today against Tennessee, they'll be in the Elite Eight. For the past 2 or 3 years, they've been bounced out in the first, second round, being 3, 4, 6 seeds. They're losing to Jack Golke in Oakland last year in a 14 seed. They're losing as a 3 seed first round, letting him put up 35 points in the first round. I mean, I had them losing first round. I'm not sure why I did that, but all these trends, I mean, they're really here to play now. They heard all the haters. They heard everyone's betting against them, and they're making a run now. Tennessee's it's gonna be a great game now. Tennessee's been playing good all year. 2 seed Tennessee. I mean, you're not gonna. Like I said, it's SEC ball. They're here to play now, and I would not want to be a part of this conference if I'd be a fan of any team in this conference. I'd be scared anytime I went to a game to watch my team play. That's all I'm gonna say, because this conference they're rough now. They're rowdy, they're rough, and they're here to make an impact for their names in basketball, and not just football, basketball as well. That concludes this part of the first segment. Next segment, NBA and the injuries. It's getting pretty bad. These injuries in the NBA are everywhere now. It's very abundant. Every team now has a major injury in a player that is affecting their total outcome for the season, what the record will be, playoffs, all that stuff. So when we get back, we're going to be talking about playoffs, NBA teams in the playoffs with injuries, NBA teams in the playoffs without injuries and how these injuries might be happening to all their players, even with all these new accommodations of health and food. I'll be back in a minute. Thank you, guys.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nolan Jambor. And before we get into segment 2, NBA and injuries, let's talk about a little something first. Tips and donations. Tips and donations, always greatly appreciated. It shows that you guys care about what we're doing. You guys want to hear the content we're putting out, and it shows. When you get a donation for you guys, it really means the world for us. It means the world to us, and we want to keep producing content for you guys. From your love, we keep producing this content. So send us the donation through Super Chat, the stickers, link in the bio, link in the description, link in the live stream. It always means the world, no matter how much. It could be $1, doesn't matter. We'll always be greatly appreciated. Send us the chat as well. Send us the text. We'll in the chat, in the live stream, always like communicating with our fans, our ones listening. It's always a great time just being able to talk with you guys. So thank you for listening to that. Let's get into the segment number 2 now. Segment number 2. Look at all these injuries in the NBA this season, man. I mean, there's always injuries in the NBA season. Every sport has injuries, but I feel like this year in the NBA, there's been, statistically, for some reason, I feel like there's been a lot more than this. A lot of big names are getting hurt. I mean, just to name a few, we had LeBron a few weeks ago with his groin. We had Cade Cunningham. He's out right now with his left ankle. I mean, hopefully he's rehabbing. I think he's rehabbing for playoffs. But, I mean, there's a lot of names, a lot of big names that are out this season. And a lot of these names I'm about to go over, all out indefinitely. Every team right now, regardless of NBA playoff time, if you're not a playoff team, I mean, every team has a big name player injured right now. It's kind of nuts. Let's get it started, though. Like, the first person we're talking, Cam Thomas for the Nets. Yeah, the Nets are not a good team. Let's just say that straight up. They're not a good team. They're probably the second worst team in the NBA behind the Wizards. But Cam Thomas is a really great player for this team. He'll give you a good 20 a night, 20 and 5. And he's the reason the Nets, have success. Have the little success that they have, he's the reason for it. He's out with a left hamstring injury for the rest of the season, and maybe some of the reports are saying maybe to the start of next season, but I doubt that. He's a resilient guy. You can tell by the way he plays. He plays a lot. He's a Kawhi Leonard. He's quiet, he keeps to himself. He is injured, but I think he'll come back next year ready to play. But I mean, losing Cam Thomas, who's your best player, even for a team with the Nets, I mean, it really does suck for that team just because you don't have anything to play for anymore. They never really did at the start of the season either before he got hurt. It just sucks seeing your best player and everybody's favorite player for your team get out, which is brutal. Then we'll go to the next person. We'll go Kyrie with the Mavs. Kyrie torn his ACL. He just had successful surgery a few days ago, which is great. So he'll be back not for a while, though. He might be out for the start of next season as well. But I mean, seeing him out sucks. I mean, the Mavs have just had this horrible curse recently. They trade Luka. They traded for AD. He gets hurt in his first game with his groin. He's back, but he was out for about a month. And the first game there gets hurt. Then they lose Kyrie. And then they lose everybody else in their team. They lose all these players. They at one point had 7 players total on their roster to play. I mean, Imagine you're Klay Thompson in that situation. You leave Golden State, one of the best franchises currently and in the 2010s. You leave there, you want to come play with Luka, Kyrie, and then you lose both of them. Kyrie to a trade, or Luka to the trade, and then Kyrie to injury. And then you're like, okay, at least I got AD. He gets out in his first game. I mean, the Mavs are just a cursed team right now. I think Nico Harrison's got, a dark spell upon him right now, but I mean, you just got to feel bad for everybody in Dallas, all those Dallas fans. And then we got Jaden Ivey at Detroit. Jaden Ivey broke his leg. First game of the new year, January 21st against the Magic. Luckily, he's running again. There's videos of him running in the Pistons practice facility, and he'll be reevaluated again in 4 weeks. But seeing him go down is such a bad beat because, obviously, like I said in multiple other videos before, I'm from Michigan. I'm a diehard Pistons fan. But seeing him go down and seeing the team have success without him really does hurt because you want to see the young stars play well come playoff time. But imagine if he was still here with the Pistons, they could be easily a 4 seed. They could be better than, they'd have a better record than the Pacers and the Bucks, and I think they could easily be a 4 seed. But they're stuck at the 6 right now. They're still a great team though, regardless without him. But they would just be better with him. And next year when he comes back, it's gonna be a great team to watch. Then we got Gary Payton II of the Warriors. He's a great player for them. He's a great player, shoots well, plays good defense. He's not old. He's still pretty young, but it's his left thumb. But he will be ready come playoff time. So the thing about the Warriors though, they're not playing right now. They dropped out. The Clippers took their spot at the 6 seed. They're not a 7 seed. So if he's not back come playoff time, I think, and if Steph Curry doesn't play well, they will lose first round and they'll have to wait again to come back till next year. But Curry's out too right now. He's day to day. His thumb as well. So if they can't, this is the time of the year where they need Curry, and if he's out, they won't go far in the play-in. They might lose first round. Maybe they'll win, but lose to the OKC if or the Houston or the Rockets. If they don't have Curry, they'll get 4-0'd by either one of those teams. And then we got Dame for the Bucks. That was a horrible injury, the blood clot. That's horrible. Out indefinitely. It's horrible. The Bucks are, fighting for a playoff spot. They're the 5 seed right now, right? But they're only 1 game ahead of the Pistons. But Giannis, he can't do it all. The team their team is surrounded by him right now. Can't do not nearly as much as Dame, without Dame. And losing one of the best shooters like that is a really bad beat for the team. It's horrible seeing your best player go down. One of your best players go down like that, especially in this time of the year where they're fighting for a higher playoff seed and fighting for the playoffs. It's a bad beat for them. But just a bad thing that happened to this team. This team's fighting. They're a good team. I don't like playing them, but they're a great team. They're a team in the playoffs you don't want to see because Giannis got something in his body when it comes to playoff time. He's always ready for always ready to put up a good fight, regardless if he knows he's gonna win, knows he's gonna lose. He's always playing as best he can. Then we got DeJounte Murray, the Pelicans, with a torn Achilles. And he's out till next year as well. But even the Pelicans, this team just can't catch a break. It's either Zion's out, DeJounte Murray's out, Trey Murphy's someone's out. This team cannot catch a break. When this team if this team's ever healthy, this team will be a top 3 team in the West. But the problem is, no one of this team's ever healthy. Zion's always out. Murray's out right now. Murray's a great player for them. He's a great shooter. He's a great defender. He can play on all 3 levels when you need him to. Losing a shooter like DeJounte Murray, even for the Pelicans who have no chance of making the playoffs, it just sucks because, like I said earlier, when you're losing one of your best players, it kind of just demoralizes the team and the fans as well. What's the point of even, enjoying it anymore? Why do I watch them anymore? It just sucks losing one of your best players like that, especially when Zion's out. He is their best player, but it's just bad break for them as well. Jalen Brunson of the Knicks. The Knicks just made the playoffs. And it's his ankle. So I think if they were smart, they already clinched a playoff spot. They might as well just rest him for the rest of the season so he doesn't risk injuring it again. Granted, there's be updated information on him in a week. So I think the smart thing to do will just keep him out for the least, even if he's healthy. There's only 13 games left till playoffs. I think you just keep him out till playoff time. They're already guaranteed a spot. You might as well just rest him up. There's no reason to get risk an injury again, especially when the load Tom Thibodeau gives his players. They're averaging. I saw Josh Hart's averaging 45 minutes a game. His rotations are. He plays 8 players all game, basically. He has 20 players in that roster and plays eat them. I don't know. I mean, it works. They're a 3 seed. It works, but I know it's just not something I would risk, and that's why Brunson's hurt. It's because the load that he gives his players is just unbelievable amount. And I just, if he didn't give him these loads, he probably wouldn't be hurt. But I'm not really sure what he's thinking over there. But hey, 3 seed, you do you, I guess. Then we got Moritz Wagner of the Magic, torn his ACL and is out indefinitely. They're currently in the play-in spot right now as well. They're currently the 8 seed in the East. And, I mean, it's bad for them. It sucks. I mean, they're a great team. They're one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. Their offensive rating is not, that good. It's like 29th, 28th. But their defense is top 3. I mean, losing Moritz as well, who's one of their best scorers, I mean, it sucks. I mean, he's tall, he's big, he can shoot threes for his size. I mean, he's a great shooter. He can play on all levels of the ball if you need him to, when you need him to. It does suck losing a player like him when this time of year comes around, especially when you're trying to fight for a higher seed, possibly getting out of the play-in, but it's just not going to happen for them. Then we got the Sixers. We got the notable names here, Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Jared McCain. It does suck when you lose your Rookie of the Year, Jared McCain. He would have won it for sure if he never got injured, but unfortunately, he hurt his knee. He tore his ACL or tore something in his knee, and then he had to get surgery, out indefinitely. It does suck. But there's injuries, I guess. But then losing Paul George and Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is possibly already one of the greatest what-ifs in NBA history just based off of how injured he is. He wins an MVP, but he's missed 3 seasons of NBA basketball. He's played 440 games, and he's missed 400. I mean, that's insane. That's an insane stat. He's just injured all the time. And losing... If he was healthy all the time, the Sixers would be a top team in the East. But they're not because of how often he's either injured, load managing, or just doesn't want to play. And if the Sixers are a healthy team, they'd be a great team. But Paul George, him being injured doesn't really affect him much. He didn't play good this year at all. He is he just doesn't have it anymore. Maybe this year was an off year for him. We'll come back again next year and see what happens, but him being out with his thumb, I don't really think that affected him as much. But I think he's just saying that because everyone's kind of clowning on him, which I can completely see why. But, I mean, he's just not what he used to be. We'll come back next year and see if it's the thumb or if he just kind of lost it, if he should retire. But we'll have to wait and see. The last person, the biggest one for last, probably the biggest loss of the season, the alien, the Frenchman, Wemby, with another blood clot in his shoulder. I mean, when you're the first overall pick for a reason. I mean, it sucks that, you're losing your franchise player. I mean, it really does suck, especially when he's coming off his rookie of the year, obviously, pure domination, and then you lose him this year. I mean, it really does suck. He already had surgery on it, deep thrombosis surgery. Sorry, I'm definitely bumbled that word. I don't know how to pronounce all these medical terms. But he already said he feels fine. He's already moving it again. But rehab's gonna take a while because rehab does take a while. But coming back next year, especially with that team based around De'Aaron Fox, Chris Paul. I mean, and especially Stephon Castle and the rookie who's currently leading Rookie of the Year. This team's gonna be really good next year. I'm excited to watch them, especially when Wemby comes back. They can be a top 3 team in the West as well if they'll stay healthy. Just because of how dominant Wemby is, and with the leader in Chris Paul, who's been around the NBA for so long, he just knows how to play the game. And with both of them, with the team coming back healthy next year, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. I would not want to have to play them in the playoffs come playoff time next year if they make it. So, thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by the GMC Sports Network. Your continuous support means a lot. And if it really means a lot to me, you guys should throw a like, throw a subscribe us our way, leave a nice comment. I mean, it really does mean a lot. Make sure to follow us on IG, Facebook, Twitter, or X if you call it that, and TikTok for the newest updates and content that we put out. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day, everybody. I'll see you guys soon.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go.